Bitcoin. What's the deal with it? Is it a bubble? Is it a scam? Or is it actually the future of money? To really cut through all the noise, we're going to go back to first principles. We're breaking down one of the most powerful arguments for its value, based on a really famous article by Vijay Boyapati. Let's build a clear framework so you can think about it for yourself.
So let's just dive right into the question that stumps pretty much everyone. How can a string of code, something you can't even hold in your hand, be worth anything? It's a fantastic question. And to answer it, we actually have to start not with technology, but with a little bit of history.
You see, to understand the future of money, we really need to look at its past. Money didn't just appear out of thin air one day. It evolved over thousands of years to solve a really fundamental problem in human society.
Way back, before money, we had barter. It sounds simple, right? If I have apples and you have fish, we trade. But the problem is, our trade only works if I want your fish and you happen to want my apples at the exact same time. This huge hurdle is called the double coincidence of wants. And honestly, it put a major brake on how much economies could grow.
So what was the brilliant solution? Well, it was collectibles. Humans all over the world instinctively started using things like rare seashells or unique stones. Their value wasn't what they could do, it was just that they were scarce and people thought they were cool. This was basically humanity's first technology for storing value, our first kind of proto-money.
Okay, so for thousands of years, all these different forms of collectibles were basically competing with each other. And out of that long global competition, a really clear checklist emerged for what makes some things way better at being money than others.
And here are those attributes. Good money has to be durable, so it doesn't rot like a banana. It's got to be portable, so you can actually carry it around. Fungible, meaning my dollar is the same as your dollar. Verifiable, so you know it's the real deal. Divisible, so you can make change. And this last one is so important. It must be scarce. Its value is totally destroyed if just anyone can make more of it easily. Think of this as the ultimate scorecard for any kind of money.
All right, with that checklist in mind, let's score the three main contenders in the world today. We've got gold, the classic champion of value, fiat currency, the government money we all use, and Bitcoin, the new digital kid on the block.
This scorecard from the original article is just brilliant because it lets us compare them all side by side. You can see the trade-offs right away. See how gold has an amazing history but is terrible to transport? And then look at Bitcoin. It gets top marks in areas where the others really struggle. No single one is perfect, but wow, their strengths and weaknesses are completely different.
Okay, let's zoom in on the two killer differences here. Fiat money, like the US dollar or the euro, gets a flat-out F for scarcity. Why? Because governments can, and do, print more of it whenever they want, and that devalues the money you've saved. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has a totally fixed supply of 21 million. It's literally coded into its DNA. It was designed from day one to be the scarcest asset we've ever had.
This brings us to another huge idea from the article. Assets don't just become money overnight. Nope. They evolve along a really predictable path through 4 distinct stages. And this is the absolute key to understanding where Bitcoin is today and maybe where it's going.
So here is that evolutionary roadmap. It all starts as a collectible, something that's just wanted because it's unique. Then, if enough people desire it, it can graduate to become a store of value, where people use it to preserve their wealth. Much, much later, if its value gets stable enough, it can become a medium of exchange for buying stuff. And the final, ultimate stage is a unit of account, where everything is actually priced in it. Each step has to happen in that order. So, where is Bitcoin on this path? Well, the core argument is that it's right in the middle of this massive leap, from stage 1, a digital collectible, to stage 2, a global store of value. And that explains why its main use case today isn't really buying coffee. It's being treated as a long-term savings technology, a sort of digital gold. Now, this big transition also helps explain one of Bitcoin's most famous and most criticized features, its crazy volatility. But what if those price swings aren't actually a flaw? What if they're a necessary feature of this whole process?
This pattern is explained by something called the technology hype cycle. The article argues that Bitcoin's price follows this exact path over and over again. There's some new innovation, a huge peak of insane excitement, then a painful crash into disillusionment, and finally, a slow, steady climb as the technology finds its real footing. Bitcoin has already been through this cycle several times, and each one has been bigger than the last.
And here is the key takeaway from all that. Each one of these chaotic cycles brings in a whole new wave of people who believe in it. This grows the network, it establishes a higher price floor, and counterintuitively, it actually leads to less volatility over the long run.
The wild swings we see, they aren't a sign of failure. They're the growing pains of a new global money being born. And just to leave you with one final thought, look at this. This isn't from last year. This is from Hal Finney, one of Bitcoin's earliest pioneers, writing this all the way back in 2009. He was just running a little thought experiment on what the ultimate potential could be. And his math kind of forces us to ask the big question: what if this whole monetization process we've just talked about actually works?
So that's our breakdown of the bullish case for Bitcoin. If you found this explainer helpful and you want to understand more big ideas like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.